rushed into the cabin, threw the door open, yelled, "We found it." I sat upright in my bunk and proceeded to put a crease in my forehead from the pipes overhead.
It was 2 o'clock. The Titanic sank at 2:20. And someone said, "Oh, Titanic's about to sink." And my mood just, boom, a wall switch. And we stopped and we went out on the fantail and we had a ceremony.
We had no connection to land, to people, to the history, but we knew that we were 2.5 miles directly above a very significant gravesite. You get a catch in your throat when that happens.
I said I found the Titanic. I didn't have a picture. So they were just waiting for me to say, let's go for it.
Once you find the boiler, now the next question is, what's the hull look like? Does it still look like the Titanic?
It's going to take more than technology to show the world the mysterious ship itself. It is going to take all the nerve they can muster. If Argo gets caught on the wreck, they are going to be left with nothing more than a multi-million-dollar anchor.
That is big. Oh, God, it's like a boiler! It's like a boiler! Yes.
September 1st, 1985. After 73 long years in obscurity, a few persistent researchers and scientists become the first to gaze upon Titanic. But if the team from the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution doesn't have any pictures of the ship itself, who will believe that they found Titanic? Maneuvering the sled, as the oceanographers call it, will not be easy given the effect of the currents rippling down Argo's 2.5-mile cable.
The analogy would be an airplane high in the sky, 12,000 feet up in the sky, trailing a little teeny camera, trying to find something pinpointed in a football field.
The most difficult thing to negotiate around will be the wires that supported Titanic's mighty smokestacks.
The good thing about that, you're not risking humans. There's no personnel involved, but the cost of the equipment is substantial, and it's a career breaker to lose some of this equipment in that manner.
The crew holds its breath.
Watch attention. Tension watch.
The stacks were gone. Thank God, the stacks were gone, and with it all the rigging. So I had a clean top. We had just done something that none of us had ever done before. And we knew we were at the edge of the technology. We pushed it to its limit, and we got out free.
And I remember those first passes with the Argo sled over the ship, and how absolutely thrilled we were that we immediately recognized what we were seeing. There it was. It wasn't a pile of scrap where maybe you could identify some of the pieces. I mean, we were looking at the Titanic.
That was cool. It's worth all the troubles and trials and tribulations. That run, I'll never forget those moments.
The ecstatic mood shifts to a somber one as the camera moves over the deck, especially the lifeboat supports. Here, Ida Strauss refused to leave her husband. The Navratil children said goodbye to their father, not knowing who would bring them home to their mother. Here, bandmaster Wallace Hartley led the band in lively ragtime tunes to keep the passengers calm until the final hymn, Nearer My God to Thee. As the crew stares at Argo's video feed, yet another punch in the stomach comes. They hope to find the Titanic in one piece, but at the middle of the ship, they keep finding a mass of confusing, twisted steel.
It's not a matter of simply making a quick turn and coming back around. That turn alone can take you 4 hours to make. We came back and made a run where we thought the stern would be, and there was nothing.
Key eyewitnesses on the night of the sinking, like Jack Thayer, were right after all. The two sections of the ship had broken apart between the third and fourth funnel and now lie 2,000 feet away from each other.
Jack Thayer made a series of sketches. One of these drawings shows the ship breaking in two at the ocean's surface. And it took another 75 or more years before a determination was made that the Titanic did break in two on the surface.
Just one day after these explorers find the ship, a raging storm blows in. To save the multi-million-dollar vehicle, it is brought back to the deck for the last time during this cruise on September 2nd, 1985. But the crew has another trick up its sleeve, the Acoustically Navigated Geological Underwater Survey, or ANGUS. This war horse is over 10 years old, and the crew was willing to risk losing it. Like Argo, Angus is dragged below the Nore, but instead of shooting video, it takes 35mm stills, photographs that can only be developed after it returns to the deck. And because it can't send a real-time video signal back to the ship, controlling this dope on a rope, as it is nicknamed, is much more difficult.
You know the location of the vehicle, and you know its distance off the bottom, and that's all you know. You don't know if it's about to fly into a cliff or if it's about to fly under some jagged piece of metal. So flying Angus was a real art.
Angus snaps thousands of pictures, including the world's first up-close look at the debris field. These everyday items bridge the years from 1912 to 1985 in a way no one could have predicted. The scientists and crew return to Woods Hole, happy to have proven their equipment worked, but not fully understanding the import of what they accomplished.
One of our friends had a brief radio conversation with people on the beach, and I'd asked him, I said, so did we make the newspapers? And he started laughing. He said, yeah, try the front page of every newspaper in the world.
For the most part, I think it was more or less out of people's consciousness until the discovery was made. And then, of course, it came rushing back into the world's consciousness.
But discovering the wreck was one thing. Dr. Robert Ballard and his team want to take a closer look at what happens to a ship during 3/4 of a century in the deep ocean. In order to do that, they are going to have to visit the Titanic, not from 2.5 miles above, but alongside the wreck in person. The deck of the RMS Titanic, the scene of some of the most dramatic moments in maritime history. Here, families parted. Here, men were ordered out of lifeboats at gunpoint to make room for women and children. Here, hundreds prayed for mercy on their souls. For 73 years, it sat in darkness until a team of scientists and engineers shine a light on it. Will someone dare tread on this deck once more? For the researchers at Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution, the chance to prove to the world and themselves that they can open up this strange environment proves irresistible.
There were a lot of issues that people wished to know more about, and certainly a lot of them were not scientific, but some of them were.
The Titanic was just a great destination to go to. It's something that you just couldn't leave behind.
It is several months after their discovery of Titanic in 1985. The researchers start to make preparations to document the site up close. The only way to do that is in a specialized submarine called a deep submergence vehicle, and Woods Hole just happens to operate one of the few in existence, the U.S. Navy-owned Alvin.
With a manned vehicle such as Alvin, you get to look out firsthand and see the things you would expect to see if you were really there yourself, which of course you are, versus the view that you get from a cable-controlled vehicle, which is a television view.
Though it can reach these great depths, Alvin has a maximum speed of just under 2 miles an hour. So while it makes far more sense to search for Titanic using unmanned vehicles that can stream through the water and stay down for days at a time, Alvin is the perfect vehicle to explore the wreck in person.
There is a lot of competition to be on the ship for the Titanic dive. There's a limited number of bunks on the boat. Seniority rules.
You pretty much had to earn the right to make it on that particular